Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Today I am going to present the topic mineral nutrition. Before presentation I would like to introduce myself. I am Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. I have done M.Sc Agriculture with a specialization in Agronomy from Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar in 1996. So let's move to the presentation. In plant nutrition, mineral elements are playing important role. What is mineral element? A mineral element is considered essential to plant growth and development if the element is involved in plant metabolic functions and the plant cannot complete its life cycle without the element. Usually the plant exhibits a visual symptoms indicating a deficiency in a specific nutrient, which normally can be corrected or prevented by supplying the nutrients in a sufficient quantity. Now we will study about mineral nutrition. The term mineral nutrient is generally used to refer an inorganic ion obtained from the soil and required for plant growth. The chemical form in which elements are applied to plants is called nutrient. Nutrition may be defined as the supply and absorption of chemical compounds needed for plant growth and metabolism. The nutrients indispensable for the growth and development of higher plants are obtained from three sources like atmosphere, water and soil. The atmosphere provides carbon and oxygen is carbon dioxide. Carbon is reduced during photosynthesis and oxygen is utilized during aerobic respiration, and soil provides the mineral iron. The nutrients are required by the plant in desired quantity to perform their metabolic activities for their growth and development. And the terms which are commonly used to describe the level of nutrients in plants are: first one, deficient, when the concentration of an essential element is low enough to limit yield. Severely and distinct deficiency symptoms are visible. Extreme deficiencies can result in plant death also. With moderate or slight deficiency, the symptoms may not be visible, but yields will still be reduced. And second level is critical range. The nutrient concentration in the plant below which a yield response to added nutrient occurs. Critical level or ranges vary upon plants and nutrients, but occur somewhere in the transition phase between nutrient deficiency and sufficiency. Third is sufficient level. The nutrient concentration range in which added nutrients will not increase yield but can increase nutrient concentration. The term luxury consumption is often used to describe nutrient absorption by the plant that does not influence yield. And fourth is excessive or toxic. When the concentration of essential or other element is high enough to reduce plant growth and yield is called excessive or toxic level. Excessive nutrient concentration can cause an imbalance in other essential nutrients, which also can reduce yield. Here to study about essential elements. The term essential mineral element was proposed by scientists Arnon and Stout in 1939. These are the composition of both micro and micro elements. In the absence of any of these elements, the plant cannot maintain its normal growth and develop deficiency symptoms, affects metabolism, and plant can die prematurely. Of the many elements that have been detected in plant tissues, only 16 are essential for all higher plants. They are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, zinc, copper, iron, manganese, boron, chlorine and molybdenum. In the absence of each of the essential elements, plant develop deficiency symptoms characteristics of the deficient element and plant die prematurely. So these elements are playing important role for the growth and metabolism of plants. Now to study the general role of essential elements. In general, an element is essential to the life of a higher green plant for one or more of the three reasons. First one is it may perform a nutritive role by being a component of one or more of the major classes of plant constituents. And second, it may be a catalytic role either as an action for an enzyme or as an integral component of an enzyme. And third, it may function as a free ion and thereby exert a balancing role in maintaining electroneutrality within plant cells, like potassium is playing role through closing and opening of stomata. Now to study the criteria for essentiality of elements. The demonstration of the essentially several elements like macro and micronutrients, especially micronutrient, is rather very difficult. In view of the technical difficulties associated with demonstrating the essentiality of elements required in very small amounts, Arnon and Stout in 1939 suggested the adoption of the following three criteria of essentiality for judging the exact status of a mineral in the nutrient of a plant. First, the element must be essential for normal growth or reproduction, and the plant processes cannot proceed without it. And second, the element cannot be replaced by another element. And third, the requirement must be direct, not the result of some indirect effect such as relieving toxicity caused by some other substances. So, these are the criteria by which we can classify that element is essential to the plant. Here we have presented the chart which shows the chemical symbol and the ionic form of essential elements. Here we have presented the name of elements, their symbol, and forms of absorption by the plants. Like carbon, its symbol is C and it is needed to the plant in the form of carbon dioxide. Like same hydrogen H, which is in the form of water. Then oxygen O, if there is elemental oxygen and O2 from H2O. After that, nitrogen symbol is N and it is available to the plants in the form of ammonium nitrate and molecular nitrogen. After that, phosphorus, which is P symbol, and it is available to the plants in the form of HPO4, H2PO4, and which is the content of a nucleic acid, etc. Then potassium K, which is available in the form of K+. Like same, there are some micro and major nutrients like calcium, it is in the form of Ca++, magnesium Mg++, then sulfur, which is available in the form of sulfate. So there are various another micronutrients which have been shown here, and there the forms of availability by the plants. As per requirement of nutrients by the plants, the nutrients has been classified in different categories. Like first one is macronutrients. The nutrient elements which are required for the growth of plants relatively in larger quantities are called as major nutrients or micronutrients. The major elements required for growth of plants are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. Among these nutrients, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are taken up by the plants from the atmosphere and water. And the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur are taken up by the plants from the soil, and they are applied in the form of chemical fertilizer either through the soil or foliage. Another form is micronutrients. The nutrient elements which are required comparatively in small quantities are called as minor or micronutrients or trace elements. The micronutrients required for the plant growth are like zinc, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, boron and chlorine are the most important. Other type of nutrients are tracer elements or labeled elements. The nutrient elements that are required for plants are sometimes labeled and used to study their movement or tracing out the involvement of such nutrients in metabolism in different organs of plants are called as tracer elements. They may either be stable or radioactive types, and they are also called as isotopic elements. Sometimes we have heard the term hidden hunger. Sometimes there is requirement of nutrient to the plants, but they are unable to show the symptoms of such elements, but there is necessity and requirement is prevailing. Such condition comes under hidden hunger. When the plants are not able to meet their requirement, either one or more of these essential elements, the plants will undergo a starvation for such elements. At the initial stage of deficiency of such elements, plants will not show any characteristic symptoms which could be exhibited morphologically, and due to want of those elements, some activities of plants would rather be affected, and the internal deficiency is called as hidden hunger. Now to study the classification of essential elements. The first basis is based on the relative quantity that is normally present in plants. Under this, major nutrient is micronutrients, which are also known as major nutrient or primary nutrients. And the elements which comes under this category is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Second is secondary nutrients. Under this, the nutrients which are falling is calcium, magnesium and sulfur. And third one is micronutrients, which are also known as minor nutrients or tertiary nutrients or trace elements. And the nutrients which falls under micronutrient category is iron, manganese, zinc, copper, molybdenum, boron, chlorine, sodium, selenium, cobalt, vanadium, gallium, aluminum and iodine. And the second base of classification is based on their chemical structure. Under these, the nutrients come under category of metals, non-metals, cations and anions. Under metals, there is potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, manganese, copper, cobalt and vanadium. Under non-metal elements, there is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, boron, molybdenum, selenium, etc. And under cations, there is ammonium, potassium, calcium, iron, manganese, magnesium, copper and zinc. And under anion categories, there is nitrates, hydrogen phosphates, sulfates, borates, etc. Third classification is based on mobility in plants. On this basis, the nutrients are categorized in four types. First one is highly mobile, like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, which is moving from lower leaves to upper leaves. Second is modulative mobile, like zinc. Third is less mobile. These are the elements which movement is restricted to the certain limits, like sulfur, iron, copper, manganese, chlorine and molybdenum. And fourth category is immobile. There are some elements which are not moving, or there is very little movement in the plants, like calcium and boron. And here we have shown the nutrient deficiency chart related to mobility, like as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, zinc and molybdenum are falling under mobility category. So their symptoms will appear on old leaves or moderate leaves. And selenium, copper, sulfur, iron, manganese, these elements are as less mobile, so their symptoms will appear on young leaves. And in case of immobile nutrients like calcium and boron, the symptoms will appear on younger leaves or growing points. Fourth classification of nutrients are based on general functions, like as a constituent of either organic or inorganic compounds, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, calcium, boron, iron and magnesium. Second is as an activator, cofactor in prosthetic group of enzyme system, like potassium, magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, manganese, copper, molybdenum, sodium and chlorine. These are directly or indirectly involved in enzymatic activities. Then third is as a charge carrier in oxidation and reduction reactions, like phosphorus, sulfur, iron, manganese, copper and molybdenum. And there are some elements which are working as a osmotic regulator for electron chemical equilibrium in plants, like sodium, potassium and chlorine. Here to proceed through functions of elements. Elements are having the different roles in plants related to metabolic activities and important role playing for the growth and developments of plants. So essential elements can also be grouped into 4 broad categories on the basis of their diverse functions. Like first one is component in biomolecules or structural elements of cells or protoplasmic group, and under these the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen elements are important one. Second is components of energy related chemical compounds in plants and ion balancing elements like magnesium, which is one of the important contents of chlorophyll, and then phosphorus is playing important role in ATP reactions. Third is catalytic or inhibiting enzymes like magnesium and zinc, and fourth is regulating osmotic potential of a cell. Potassium plays an important role in the opening and closing of stomata, which regulates the osmosis process in the plant. Now we will proceed through functions of elements in an individual way, like carbon, which is the basic molecular component of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. Then oxygen. Oxygen is somewhat like carbon, that it occurs in virtually all organic compounds of living organisms. Then hydrogen. Hydrogen plays a central role in plant metabolism. It is important in ionic balances as main reducing agent and play a key role in energy relations of cells. Then fourth is nitrogen. Nitrogen is a component of many important organic compounds ranging from proteins to nucleic acids. Then phosphorus, which is having the central role in plants in energy transfer and protein metabolism. Then potassium, which helps in osmotic and ionic regulations. Potassium functions as a cofactor or activator for many enzymes of carbohydrate and protein metabolism. Calcium element is involved in cell division and plays a major role in the maintenance of membrane integrity. Then magnesium, which is the component of chlorophyll by which the plants appear green color, and it is a cofactor for many enzymatic reactions. Then sulfur. Sulfur is somewhat like phosphorus, which is involved in plant cells energetic activities. Then iron, an essential component of many heme and non-heme iron enzymes and carriage. It is including the cytochromes, which is respiratory electron carriers, and the ferredoxins. The latter are involved in key metabolic functions such as nitrogen fixation, photosynthesis and electron transfer. Then zinc element, which is essential component of several dehydrogenase and peptidase enzymes including carbonic anhydrase, alcohol dehydrogenase, glutamic dehydrogenase and malic dehydrogenase among others. Manganese element is one of the important constituent of enzymatic activities. It is involved in oxygen evolving system of photosynthesis and is a component of enzymes arginase and phosphotransferases. Then copper element, which is the constituent of a number of important enzymes including cytochrome oxidase, ascorbic acid oxidase and lackase. Then boron. Boron is involved in carbohydrate metabolism and synthesis of cell wall components. Then molybdenum, which is required for the normal assimilation of nitrogen in plants, and it is an essential component of nitrate reductase as well as nitrogenase, which is playing important role in nitrogen fixation and it is working as an enzyme for the same. Then chlorine, essential for photosynthesis as an activator of enzymes involved in splitting water. It also functions in osmoregulation of plants growing on saline soils. Now to study the absorption of elements. There are two mechanisms of absorptions. First one is apoplast and second is symplast. The apoplast is the first phase which involves the rapid uptake of ions into the free space or outer space of cells called the apoplast. This usually occurs through ion channels, transmembrane proteins that act as selective pores and is therefore passive, which doesn't need energy. And the second phase of absorption involves the slow uptake of ions into the inner space of plants called the symplast. This uptake requires energy and therefore is an active process. The entry of ions into cells is in flux and exit of ion from cells is efflux. So these are the absorption mechanism of elements to the plants. So this presentation was all about mineral nutrition. Now my presentation ends here. Thank you very much. I have given here my YouTube channel details. Journey with Vijay Kumar Shrivastav. Having request, please visit the channel, subscribe it and provide your kind and valuable feedback for further improvements to be done in next coming presentations. Thank you.